Okay, we're BT IndieCast episode 8, and today we've got with us Mr. Matt Moon. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, doing well, doing real well.
Very cool. Glad you could come and be on the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's very cool. As you know, on IndieCast we try to, get a good scope of what's going on in the music industry, we can say, in this area and the region. And I thought what better thing to do is to ask one of my buddies who's a music teacher at Pike Central High School. You're kind of on the tipping point with these kids and music and doing all that, so we can just talk about that and see what's going on with it.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, tell me a little bit about your musical background. Is it musical family, that kind of stuff, or?
Yeah, it's actually not a musical family. I was in the 6th grade, and I asked my dad if I could join the band, and he said no. Then I asked Mom. She said maybe, and then I asked Dad again. He said no. But then he finally softened up, and we rented an instrument, and I started the whole process. I had done, just like most of the kids in the area, little league sports and baseball and basketball, and a few things in football. And I started enjoying the band. Started playing with the high school band in like middle school. It was mostly to watch out for my sister, though. She was a high school majorette, and Dad thought he could just insert me in there to watch her. She was a bit older.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
So about 8th grade, I got to be in the all-district band, and I made it. And we went to Paintsville and stayed in the Ramada Inn, and I met so many people, and I had the best time of my life.
Right.
And I was like, man, why aren't all my friends doing this? Why isn't everybody doing this? This is the most fun thing.
It was like you met the kindred spirit kind of scenario happened.
Yeah.
And you were like, whoa, these people are like me.
That's right. And I came back and started telling all these other people about the people I met. They didn't care, but it was a great time. I loved it, and I think it was that moment that I probably thought, this is what I want to do. This is awesome. Fun.
Did you you play the trombone? Right?
Yeah.
And was that what you started out with?
I started out on the saxophone.
Okay.
And then started playing a baritone, and I was playing some trombone parts on the saxophone, and then there was this older guy that graduated that played the trombone in the high school band.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's kind of what I want to do. So I asked the band director if I could take a trombone home over the summer. And so I learned to play over the summer and came back, and it kind of stuck. And that's where I got some success. I got in the all-county band, the all-district band on the trombone, and it kind of stuck for me.
That's amazing to think, the Matt Moon in the 6th grade was just like, hey, I'm going to try this out, see what this is about. I mean, it's just like anything. You just like, I'm going to test the waters here.
Right.
Little did you know that it was the beginning. I guess. That's pretty neat. I didn't really have too musical of a background really either, and my dad wanted to start taking piano lessons, so I kind of as a little kid sitting in the corner watching that, and I learned started learning how to play, and so I'm glad that he never learned, so I'm glad he wanted the lessons.
Right.
He tells everyone he took the lessons and I learned how to play. So it's cool that it's kind of destiny. You never know how those can be.
Sure.
And that kind of follows suit with how important it is what you're doing with all these kids, because you are that stepping stone that they go, hey, this music thing's pretty cool.
Right.
I want to do that.
And when I started out, by the end of the year, I started out in the 6th grade, but by the end of the year, I was the last kid left in band. I was the only kid in this class at the end of the year, because you could take band or recess.
Oh
what are you going to do? I mean, it was 2 or 3 days a week, but it was still recess. So I liked it that much that I was able to do it. So in my career, I've always thought back on that and thought about creating that interest.
Yeah.
And helping keep that interest going from the top to the bottom, and how important that is for kids to have success, and then to build on that, and to have that interest, because that was just and to fight for a schedule that allows kids to not have to choose recess or band.
I know that's insane, really, looking back and thinking
sure is.
You have these option, kids.
Right.
You can go play or you can learn an instrument.
Yeah.
That's funny. When I growing up, and when I was in middle school and high school, the band was so foreign to me, and I don't ever remember anyone asking me about it, or if I ever wanted to play. I never saw the band do anything in the school, and they had their own band room, and I don't think I ever stepped in it in my entire high school. It's strange that it was just like this other world. It was the band, those were the band guys. So that's pretty neat. Where'd you go to college?
I went to Morehead State University.
Oh.
Did a bachelor's in music there, music education there, trombone, and then I ended up going there I'm doing a master's there, and then I did an EDS degree at the University of Kentucky in education leadership.
Was college was the impact of not impact, but your growth as a musician, was college like substantial? What did you go in and you were here, and you left and you were here, or did you have the idea of being here?
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge.
Yeah.
The study in college for a music major is pretty intensive, but it's really focused also.
Right.
Whereas high school, you could take a band class and maybe a choir class at this point, and some other things, and then you practice on your own.
Right.
I sought out some lessons with whoever I could, and had some good families in the area that would travel to some things like Trombone Day.
Right.
Did you know there was such thing called Trombone Day?
No. I casually just went right over that route.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they at the University of Kentucky or at Morehead, and we would go to these things and have lessons, and there's all-state auditions and stuff that we prepared for. I got to be in the Governor's School for the Arts in high school.
That's awesome.
I got to audition for that, and I made that. And there were 40 musicians, instrumental musicians from the state that got to go to the summer program. And that was kind of the first taste of what being a college music major was like. It was kind of intensive study in your art form, but at the same time experiencing the other art forms. So then going to college and studying, we had private lessons once a week, and that lesson teacher was your advisor, so you were with them constantly, whereas other majors you're only with your advisor a couple times a semester for a few minutes, but you're with them continually. You also you're in tons of ensemble classes, from jazz band to concert band to marching band to trombone ensemble.
I mean, you really live that major
you do.
More than people would imagine.
Oh yeah, it's
that's your life.
It's not going to class. It's every day, all day long playing, and then you're required to practice a few hours a day to become better on your instrument. Plus, you're taking music theory courses and music history courses, and and then later on, you're in the education program, so you're taking those things too. But they're kind of sidelined to the really becoming a musician. Now, I will tell you, I wasn't the best student early on. I was a talented student in a lot of ways. I learned fairly quickly.
Right. So you use that to your advantage.
I use that to my advantage. That's right.
That's pretty good. When you were in college, was there someone? I guess it might have been your advisor, but was there someone that you that kind of was in front of you that you looked up to that had an impact? That kind of thing.
Yeah, there were. I went there to study with trombone professor Andrew Glendenning. Mm-hmm. He was a very, very good trombone teacher and player, and very well known. And then he left soon after I got there. My freshman year, he got a job elsewhere as a department chair. And so he left. I had an interim professor for a year, and then I got a professor in. That interim professor, he's the trombone player. He's one of the trombone players in the U.S. Army Field Band in Washington now. Wow. He was a great player. But then the teacher came in, Dr. Jeannie Lee, and she taught me how to learn. She taught me how to organize a practice section or session, how to set goals, how to maintain and reach real life things. Yeah. That it was at that point it was strictly to the trombone, but so applicable to everything else. And she was tough and good.
The big picture is much more than just getting some sheet music or grabbing a book or a easy play this or learning a song or two. The big picture is learning how to be a musician, like you said, and about discipline, studying, rehearsing, and that's all. That really thins the herd when people realize that. Mm-hmm. When did you realize that you wanted to teach? Or maybe from the sixth grade.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was early on.
Really?
It was early on. And in high school, I went back and forth with do I teach? Do I play? Do I teach? Do I play? Yeah. And I had a teacher who wasn't my band director, but he taught me a lot, Mr. Houston, Jan Houston.
Oh, yeah.
And he, You got to teach, babes. You got to teach, babes.
That's it.
That's what he would tell me.
Yeah.
So he kind of, I got geared toward that path. But I really want to do that anyway. I like people. I like to do that. But I got on that track and decided, this is what I want to do. So when I went to events like All District Band, All County Band, and we work with the guest conductors from around the nation or from around the area, that I tried to soak up everything they did because I knew that's what I was going to do. So I was trying to, things that I do in my band class today are things I saw Judy Grimes from Elmhurst College do when I was a junior in high school. Yeah.
Well, you seem pretty that you were pretty focused on this.
Yeah,
that's good.
It was the passion.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
it needs to be
I came back to it.
That's pretty good. I noticed you do play out some. You played at the Opry, and how was that? Like you're teaching 5 days a week. You're with the kids. You're at the on that level with those kids, talking to them, and that whole thing. And then you go down there and you're playing pop songs, country songs. I mean, is it just an easy segue? You just jump in and go, man, this is cool too.
Yeah, that's the fun.
Yeah,
that is the fun stuff.
That's the payoff.
That's the payoff. Yeah. It gets busy, especially at Christmas when the Opry's going on. Christmas is hugely busy, crazy busy for us as in the band world, in the high school world. But those guys are so much fun to play with, and so easy to play with because everyone's incredible. And
it's
nice.
Really good. Surprisingly, because we have such a small town. I mean, such a small area. There's just not a lot going on. But it's. I'm always thankful, and I always recommend that the MAC has been so good for so many different things, from theater stuff. 20 years ago, I was working with the Nutcracker down there, and it's cool that there's those kind of things there. There's big bands going on there, the spectrum that they have there. I wish we had more Mountain Art Centers in the region. It would be really good just to see there's more out there than just one or two genres.
Right.
Nothing against those genres, but it's a big world musically, and it's good to see them tap into that. And it's great to see Houston and you and a couple others, to come down there and be a horn section. Right. In Eastern Kentucky, that's a rarity.
That's right.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, we love doing it too, and I can't even tell you how fun it is to work with those guys.
Oh yeah, man. I can imagine. Yeah. It's like the band's back together. High fives. Let's do this.
That's our yearly time together.
That's cool. So let me ask you this. We've been asking this on our audio podcast, but when you go home and you want to listen to music, what do you reach for and put in, or what do you listen to in your car right now? Which one of those?
I listen to a lot of real jazz in my car. XM 67.
Yeah.
Give him a plug, I think. Or Sirius, whatever it is.
Right.
I listen to a lot of the real jazz channel. It's kind of, it's what I like. I'd love to be able to play like those guys, and some of the things that are on there. But I like a mix of music too.
Yeah.
I dig a lot of things from a lot of time period. I think I really dig soul music.
Yeah.
I really like that time
Trombone,
period.
Horn, those soul, funk horns, that kind of stuff. They've got a whole vibe that's unbelievable.
If I'm at the pool, it's like the Ray Charles Pandora station or something.
Oh, yeah,
I really love a lot of those things.
Well, that's neat. That makes me feel good that you put the jazz channel on in your car. I mean, really, you know what I mean? Because that it shows that it's part of you. That's what you're not faking it.
Sometimes when I'm going through the parking lot at Food City or something, I pull in. I'm like, can they hear that I'm listening to jazz? What are they gonna think? They hear this.
I know.
It's
funny, isn't it, that you are conscious of what is in the car blasting out.
Right.
People are like, what is that?
What is that sound?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
We bring in some live jazz to our gala we do every year.
Yeah.
Brandon Coleman usually brings a group and some live jazz, and we try to inject it into any scenario we can.
Right. That's good.
It's America's music.
Yeah,
it's America's music, and we kind of forgot that it's America's music.
You're exactly right.
And I love all the other American music too. I do listen to bluegrass some.
Yeah.
And I love the Isaacs.
Oh
I'll
my
give them a shout.
gosh, those harmonies.
What a sound.
Yeah,
my goodness.
All that. Yeah, bluegrass. But yeah, we can't forget that jazz is America's music, and it's something that's worldwide.
Yes.
And everyone wants to grab a piece of it and take some ownership of it. Yeah, it's America's. That's pretty good. And to know that you're exactly right. Though we need to remember that, because it's not just, even though we're in the country capital of the
Sure.
whatever, in the Appalachian Mountains. But jazz is just a part of that equally.
It sure is. I listened to I read recently a quote from a person that said, in 2,000 years, the things that will be remembered about America are its great Constitution, baseball, and jazz. That'll be the three contributions to the world for history.
I guess I'm fine with that. The Constitution. I don't know about baseball, but
yeah, I don't know.
How long have you been teaching, by the way? We kind of waxed over that.
14 years. This is my 14th year.
14 years. Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you, just in a scope of that 14 years, what are the challenges today as opposed to 14 years ago? And maybe there isn't any, but 14 years ago when you started teaching in the school district here, or compared to today, what do you see? Are kids are they still liking music?
Oh yeah, they're loving it more than ever in my particular situation. And there have been good changes and not so good changes,
right.
But the difference in the music program from 14 years ago to today is hugely different in our school. The culture of the school, the climate of the music program, all those things have changed. When we first started, it was a band at the school,
right?
And now it's become a jazz band, a concert band, a percussion ensemble, the pep band, the marching band. It's become a whole world of bands and a whole world of instrumental music.
Right.
The brass ensemble, the saxophone ensemble, and then there's the choirs doing the same thing. There's the two choirs, and then there's other activities as well. We do a college dual credit course. So as far as that, the music has really expanded and gone somewhere at Pike Central. At the same time, it's still just the same few people doing
I was going to say,
bunch more
all
jobs.
That is it within your purview, but it's just you.
Right. So those have been some of the great things that have improved over time. Offering more and just having few people doing more jobs has been one of the challenges. The other is that it seemed like when I first started in education, there were resources to be had a little bit. Yeah. And almost as soon as right after I started, the resources began to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. Yeah. And that's been over the course of 14 years. It really has dwindled from.
There's just they just keep pulling the budget, right? Basically,
yes.
I mean, it's kind of nationwide. I mean, and that's unfortunate because we're ambassadors of music, and we try to preach this. That it's so important, it's so vital for kids learning, and it touches kids more than just they can play a song. Mm-hmm. It helps with math. It helps with social skills. And it's really sad to see the budget just over and over and over get cut.
It's the reason a lot of kids come to school.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've made ourselves important in the lives of the students and made ourselves important to the school. And we're in a situation where we get a lot of support, and people in the community know and understand that there's a lot of good things going on there, right? Musically, so there's some support that way.
I mean, you guys are a beacon in the area for what's staying busy and doing so many things, and the numbers that you have. Because in what I do, I see schools all over this part of the state, and you guys, you and Jason. It's amazing what you guys do, and I like keeping up with it and seeing. Yeah. Let me ask you this about tech, and I've wondered this. Technology, the revolution, the internet, everything that's around right now. And, I have my thought about this, but has it helped or has it hurt music with your students? Has it preoccupied them, or is it a resource that they can use to be better musicians?
Oh man, it's both. It's all of that. It's everything.
As I was asking, I was answering.
It's all of that. It really is. Tech. In my classroom, my general music classroom. When I want to listen to, like I mentioned Ray Charles earlier, when we're doing, I can pull up live video on YouTube of Ray Charles performing the way it looked, the way it sounded, with his group. Then I can switch over and pull up live video when the Beatles landed. We can, all those things.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
There's so many connections that the kid can actually experience it.
Right.
On the other end, two other ends, because they have all these things at their fingertips.
Yeah.
They still get really into like one thing or whatever their little group. So they're not experiencing a wide range of things.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And at the same time, if you think about when we were kids, and I was a kid in the 80s.
I was going to say, I appreciate you saying we, considering I was a kid. I was childish in the 80s.
We had a few less channels.
Right.
And I tell these kids in this class sometimes that when I reference something from the 80s or 90s, almost everybody from the 80s or 90s gets my reference.
Right.
Because we watch these same channels, we watch these same shows.
Exactly.
There's a unification of what we experience.
Right.
But in their frame, there's not so much that. They could be watching satellite. They could be watching. They could be watching Netflix. I had a conversation with a whole class today. They have all these resources. I had to go to the CD store, the tape store, and look through a big catalog to find a trombone player and a trombone CD.
Yeah.
And then I ordered it out of a catalog, and weeks later, maybe a month later, they call me. It's in. I go pick it up, and now I can listen to a trombone player.
Right. Yeah. For niche listening, it was work. Mm-hmm. You had to go find it, read and source it out. That's true. And now, you just say, "Okay, Google, play some trombone music."
Right.
And my phone will probably start doing that.
And I talked to these kids today about this too. We had just did a clinic in Moorhead on Saturday.
Yeah.
With Tamir Hindelman, plays with the Clayton Hamilton Big Band. He recorded with Barbra Streisand. He's a
legit.
Big time, real piano player. And when he rehearsed my group, because they play for them and then he rehearsed them a while, he got to them they were playing pretty well, notes and rhythms and things on the page, and he started talking about feeling and communication to the audience and how to do those things. And sometimes I look at the kids and I'm like, "Show me your TV watching face," and they're like, "Okay, show me your live performance face." Show me it's the same face. There's no, perform to the audience. They look down. There's the feeling, the communication between what they're playing and the audience. And we started talking that tangented into video games.
Right.
How many times they talk about transcribing, listen to your favorite musicians and just playing what you hear by ear and writing it down.
Yeah.
It's like, how many of you guys heard all those professional musicians talk about that this weekend? They're like, how many of you have ever done that before? Like 4 kids, or like me. If the greatest people in the world tell you to do this,
come on,
and then you're like, oh, no, I don't think so. you don't really want it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they've got all of these things there. They've got all the tools and they're getting all the things. It's just the application.
Right.
So I talked to them about video games, and so the reason you play a video game is because it starts out really easy, and then you're successful. And then you're more successful the next level, and then it gets harder, but you're going to do it. So it's more you build it on this success. Yeah. The same thing happens in music if they put the time into it.
That is great.
They start out, and then they have a success, and then a little more success, and a little more success, and it gets harder and harder.
I'm sure there was some aha. Was some I get that.
Yeah.
Maybe if I put forth this effort, that's good. That's amazing. I really, like I said, you and Jason both, and Houston and those kind of people have huge impacts. And I know people tell you that, but you really do have long-term impacts with kids. And I love that people like you are out there doing that. My son is, a musician today, and I owe a lot to Dan for being Dan, and letting Tabor be Tabor, and I probably don't visit my son more. Every other visit there's a Houston story, that he still has, that he pulls out and uses as a reference, and it makes me feel good that there was those people doing that in school. So, well, Matt, I appreciate you coming by. And,
thank you, Tony, for having me.
Like I said, we'll do this again, and look forward to what you got in the future, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. See you later.
See you.
Thank you.